This conference will now be recorded.
I'm going to do a quick review of where we are and especially the accounting cycle, which begins, of course, with this equation. So we're going to look at this, and then we're going to begin working on a problem, which you should have already pulled up to be ready to work on. So you should have that problem and be ready to work on it. So you have to be familiar with this equation and everything we do. Assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity plus common stock plus retained earnings. Retained earnings consists of revenues, expenses, and dividends. Whenever we have a transaction, two things happen. We receive something of value and we give something of value. What we receive, we debit, is on the left of the T account. What we give up, we credit, is on the right. So one account, we got something, we debiting on the left. Another account, we gave up something, we crediting on the right. Okay, we're on the accounting cycle, steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, 7 and 8 today, preparing the financial statements and closing the accounts. But when I looked at that, plus looking at the trial balance exam, if you have issues with step 2, especially, then it's difficult to get through 3 and 4, 7 and 8. So I want to go back and review some basic things. And what I always told you was that, I created this chart in terms of transaction analysis. And when cash comes in a business, the business has something of value, it debits cash. So whenever cash is coming into the business, cash is debited and an appropriate account is credited. We do okay on that. When cash is paid out, whenever we say cash is paid out, you got to credit cash. Sometime on assets purchased, people debit cash. Sometime on liabilities paid, not as much there. On expenses paid, sometimes people will debit cash. On dividends, I've had people debiting cash then. Whenever you see the word cash is paid, you've got the credit. Then the purchase of an asset utilizing debt, we debit the asset purchase and we credit the liability created. And the only other one that we had was a sale on account. Don't have as much trouble with this one, where when you've done the work, you debit account receivable and you credit sales. This is the chart of accounts. And so it's very important for you to understand in terms of this chart of accounts that, and you do all your work in the order of this chart of accounts. Assets first. And I have this normal balance. So an asset, its normal balance is a debit. Whether it's a current asset or long-term asset, typically its balance is a debit. Liabilities are going to have a credit balance when they get to the trial balance. Common stock. Dividends are going to have a debit balance. Revenue is going to have a credit balance. And all expenses are supposed to have debit balances. And so, you should always have this chart available. It's telling you the normal balance and where things go. And so you want to make sure that, you have this as a ready reference. Then I gave you this problem with illustrations of each of the journal entries we made. The first four involves the receipt of cash by the business. We invested to start the business. We received cash for car revenue. We collected from corporate customers. We received a short-term loan. In each of those cases, cash came in the business, and we debited cash. For forming the corporation, we credit common stock. If it's a sale, we credit sales. If it's collection of work previously done on an account receivable, we credit account receivable. If we receive a short-term note, cash on that, we credit the note payable. But notice cash is debited each time. So you've had this example. The next four examples deal with payment of cash. We purchased supplies paying cash. We paid on accounts payable. We paid rent. We paid. Anytime you see the word paid, then cash has to be credited. I bought supplies with cash. Cash is credited. And the credit, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was finna say, I think that's what was messing me up too. Like, I'm always putting cash at the top, but if cash is being credited, it's gonna go
at the bottom.
At the bottom, right? Okay. So anything debit is gonna always be on top, and anything credited is gonna be at the bottom.
Because we want it uniform. Remember that these standards are used worldwide, and so everybody has to kind of understand. And people can make mistakes. They're assuming that, so if you had cash at the top, they may treat it as a debit. When we paid on the account payable, we credited cash. That's a payment of a liability. When we paid the rent, we credited cash. When we paid the dividends, we credited cash. Then when we made the purchase on account, we bought an asset supplies, so we debit supplies, but we credited account payables, like using your credit card. Next, we had the sale on account. You did the work, and people owe you money. That's a receivable. You want receivables, you don't want payables, because payables mean you got to pay somebody. So you like this, and then once we have a 15, then we can go back up here and have a 3 to collect the cash. But you can't collect cash if you hadn't done the work in the first place. So those are all the transactions that we've worked with this semester. And you got examples right here. You have all of this information, so you simply needed to identify. Okay, let's see if we can get to.
And we are just listening for right now, correct?
Yeah, you're just listening. Now
okay.
you get. Let's see. So you should have that problem out now, hopefully. Okay. So you should have this problem up, the accounting cycle review problem. Does everyone have this problem?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now this is where you begin to work. We want to make these journal entries. So everybody make the first journal entry. Go through and make this first journal entry. What type is that first journal entry?
Type 1.
One.
What you gonna debit?
Cash.
Count 100 cash. 50,000. What you gonna credit?
400 common stock.
So business got cash of 50,000 and gave common stock to the owners. Stock certificate indicating that they put this in the business. Okay, you all make a second transaction. What type is it?
Type
12.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not gonna write it down for you. You all are to write that transaction down. Do we have it completed?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Anybody
Yes,
got any
sir.
problem? Anybody with any problem?
No, sir.
No, I have a question real quick. So we've been supposed to be doing this, right? Because I already.
Correct. You're supposed to be doing it to turn it in. There's a link to turn this in for 5 points. Those are assignments. You paid a dividend in the amount of $10,000. Make that journal entry. What type is that?
That's a type 10.
All right, make the journal entry. Now let's go to the one that gives people a lot of problems. Purchase
Number
land.
4.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You purchase for land for $90,000, paying 10 down, and sign a note for the balance. So what you got was the land, $90,000. So we're gonna put 90,000 right here for the land. And the account number for land is what?
200.
Yeah.
200. Yeah.
So how do we buy this land? We paid cash down of how much?
10,000.
10,000 on the credit side, and then you have
What
to
type
put
is that?
80,000.
I don't.
That's
Wait, what type is this?
7.
7. Then we sign a note for the balance, right?
mm,
80,000. What type is this?
12.
Well, so we bought 90,000 worth of land, but we bought it 2 ways. We paid cash for part of it. We gave a note for the other part. So we got the land, we got something of value, we gave some of our cash away, and we signed a note for the balance. Can everybody make this journal entry now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna tell this 350.
Wait, can you explain that one more time?
Okay. It says we bought some land for $90,000. We
Mm-hmm.
paid $10,000 down and signed a note for the balance. We purchased land for $90,000. We paid $10,000 down and signed a note for the balance. Okay. We bought $90,000 worth of land.
So, okay, so anything, like when we see a problem like this, anything that's a note payable is automatically credited.
Automatically credited when you're buying something,
Thank you.
because that's what you've given up. You got to pay this back. If you got a student loan, you get some cash in your bank account, but you got to pay it back. So that's what you gave up. Any questions? Any further questions? So notice the debits in any journal entry, the total debits must equal the total credits. Do we see that? So I don't expect anyone to miss this. This, of course, will be on your midterm. Okay. Let's see what we have next. We paid the delivery expense. You all go ahead and make that entry. What type are we talking about?
That's type 12.
9.
See, you paid. Whenever you see the word paid, it's got to be
1 through
7 through
1 through
11.
7. Oh, 7 through 11.
1 through 6, you got cash. 7 through 11, you paid cash out.
And
Got
12
it?
is when you still have to pay on it. That means you still have to pay on
12
it.
is where you bought it on credit. You can go to
Okay.
the store and use your debit card and buy something. Boom, your cash is gone. That's the type 7. If you use your credit card, that's a type 12. You hadn't paid cash yet. You got to pay cash later. So 7,
Okay.
debit card, 12, credit card.
Okay.
So hopefully you see why I'm doing the review. You know, I just knew that some people had missed some certain things as we're going through. And so because you got to go through and do this first next time, I wanted to make sure so that when you take the exam, you're in the A-B range, not the C-D range. So that's the goal. You're in the A-B range. C by accident, you just had a bad day. Okay, we said that we're on the delivery expense, right? Paid delivery expense.
Yes.
So we said that was a NAN. I'm gonna let you all make that one. The next thing we want to do is to car rental revenue earned from corporate customers, 80,000. What type is that?
That's a type 15.
It's a type 15.
Okay.
You've done the work. So what you gonna debit?
You're gonna debit 80,000.
For account receivable.
Credit.
Account receivable.
Yes. 110 accounts receivable.
Because you've done the work.
Okay. How okay, number 6, where how can we know it's account receivable? Like what
You
keyword in
always,
the journal entry I'm supposed to know that?
because it said Carvel revenue earned, so we didn't get any
Okay,
cash.
right. Okay, so earn, we see earn,
Yeah,
that means you did the work.
earned. Then you know you have a type 15. So go to your types and look at 15.
Sell on account.
Right. What did you debit? And what you gonna credit?
Um would you debit the 80,000
Yeah.
because you earned that, correct?
So we debit account receivable. What you gonna credit?
Sales.
So credit sales.
Yeah, that's the one I struggled with.
You've done the work. It's a good thing. You've done some work. You haven't been paid yet.
Mm-hmm.
You work now? Do you work, Kiara?
I'm sorry, what you say?
Hmm? Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you get paid every day? But if you work 10 days, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing.
Guess what? You're going to get a paycheck. Same thing here. These people did some work. So when you've worked, you've owed money. That's a receivable for the company. Same thing. Okay. What's our next transaction? Paid on accounts payable. I'm going to let you all handle that one. What type is that?
That's a type 8.
That's a type 8. Make the journal entry.
No payable.
Got it made? Collection of cash from corporate customers. I will say,
That's 100.
what's the type first? Give me the type.
3.
3. That's a 3. So 100. We're going to debit cash. For how much?
70,000.
70,000.
And I think it's 110 accounts receivable, even though it didn't say pay on account, because it's
Collect
corporate
account.
customers.
Yes, it's account receivable.
Hey, wait, y'all moved on to number 8 already?
Yeah.
I'm like, let me catch up. I was still on number 7.
Oh, you're still on 7.
Yeah,
Well,
because I thought we was walking through,
we'll wait
What
for
was 7?
Is it no payable?
no.
Yes, it's note payable.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's 9 on the note payable. We on an account
Oh,
payable.
yeah, no.
Huh?
We're
Oh,
paying an
so
account. That's
so
like
number
paying your credit card. So when you pay your credit card, you debit it because that's what your credit card is going down. So you're gonna debit accounts payable.
I thought it was okay. Well, I just need to replace the note with account. Okay,
Yeah,
so I knew I was gonna debit. So it's account payable debit of 15,000, and then I'm crediting cash 15,000.
correct.
Okay, and that type was right. Okay, I have it. Now I'm on number 8.
Okay. Well, tell us about number
Okay.
8
Question is cash. So to me, if you collect something that's account receivable, right?
now. Correct.
Okay. So that means you gonna debit it then, because you're collecting it, it's yours. So that's gonna be 70,000 debited in
You got
corporate
cash.
custody.
You got
Hmm.
cash, or you gonna debit cash.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Then you gonna
Okay,
credit
debit.
account receivable. These two transactions kind of go together. You do the work, people owe you, account receivable. When you get the cash from them, that's what you want. Then you credit the receivable.
Mm.
But you can't have a 3 unless you had a 15. You did. That is, you said you work. They don't pay you if you don't come to work, do you? Do they?
No.
Okay. So here you've done the work, you're collecting the money later. Just like you work 5 or 10 days, you get paid later. But every day you work, you're earning money. So it's the same type of situation.
Mm. Mm.
And we got that number 9 that people love to miss.
This is the one I
I
kind of
know
struggle on.
me too.
And this the one I always miss.
Always.
Always, yeah.
If you had a
I think
student
I
loan,
got it now.
if you had a student loan and you borrowed 20,000 and you owe interest of 5,000 when you got ready to pay it back, how much money does that bank want?
10,000? No,
You borrowed
interest.
$20,000
25,000.
and the interest is 5,000. How much is that bank gonna tell you to pay them?
25?
How much?
$25,000.
They want $25,000.
Mm.
So when we make this journal entry, we first of all are gonna pay on the note. So that's that note that we set up right here. Now we got to pay it back. So we're gonna debit notes payable
Mm.
for the 20,000.
No, so no payable gonna be 20,000, right?
Right. Then we got to pay the interest.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not paying back just what you borrowed, but you got to pay the interest. You got to pay that 5,000.
So you credit 5,000?
No, debit, paying an expense. Whenever we have an expense, that's just a closing entry. We debiting that expense.
Why is it debit cat 5,000
But I
if
can
you
show
got
you
a
a part of it. The bank wants $25,000. You don't want 20. You don't want 15. The bank is going to want $25,000. So you're paying back what you borrowed plus interest. So that should teach you something on student loans. You can borrow 20,000, but you got to pay more back. And that's any kind of loan with interest, even on a credit card. If you don't pay it off each month, you got to pay principal and interest.
The types would be 8 and 9.
Okay. Payment on the note, that's correct, 8. Payment of the interest expense, 9. So we have 2 types here. So we paid cash at 25,000. Part of it was an 8, the other part was a 9. Can everybody work this transaction now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You're not gonna miss it on the midterm.
I ain't gonna make no promises.
Right.
I'm gonna study.
We're gonna study.
Yes, I was studying before class, so
But just kind of seemed like you could not only study, but you could have these journal entries and sort of see what happened in the journal entries. Seemed like, you know, whatever. It seemed like the journal entries are there. Okay, it's time for us to post to the ledger because we need to know how much cash we got. So to find out how much cash we got now and how much is in each account, we're gonna post the first one together, and then you all gonna post the rest of them. Give us a debit in the journal entry. It's a debit in the T account. So we're gonna debit cash for 50,000.
Dr. Boyd.
Yes.
Oh, what was number 5? Like, it's was it is delivery expense, right? And cash.
That's correct. I didn't do all of them. That is, you all what you ought to be doing some of this because you aren't going to learn it just watching me. So I did the more difficult ones.
All right, thanks.
Okay. So we debited cash on the first one, and we credited common stock. Now notice what is supposed to happen in working with your T accounts. You got them in the same order as that chart of account. Cash, account receivable, the next account, which is going to be what? Probably supplies.
oh, okay, I see.
Then the land comes here, so you keep them in order. Then you start to put your liabilities down here on the next line.
Land.
Then common stock, retained earnings, and income summary come here. Then dividends,
Mhm.
sales, and your expenses. So it's you all job now to do these postings. See, this is nothing complicated. It's a debit in the journal entry, it's a debit in the T account. If it's a credit in the journal entry, it's a credit in the T account. So I'm going to give you all 10 minutes to get this posting done. At the longest.
Can you slide back up to the questions so I won't have to keep sliding?
All right. You mean the journal entries?
Yes, sir.
So I didn't do all of them.
It's okay. I did all of them.
Okay, so you got them all done. So you can pull them from there. So all I want you to do is to post them all. And then I want you to come up with the balances in each account. So post all of these and come up with the balances in each account.
This is one person.
Does the expenses go before or after the stockholders' equity?
Do we have them all about posted?
Not yet.
About there now?
No.
All right.
I'm on number 9 now.
Dr. Board, to get the total, where are we subtracting debited from credit or credit from debit?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Like when we do the T accounts, aren't we supposed to total up everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after we get one side for debit and then one side for credit, we combine it together by subtracting.
Let's do cash.
Mr. Boyd,
Yes.
when is the test due? The midterm is due at 4 or 5.
You taking that? I think it's 5. What did I have in there?
Let me go look. For your turn in, Bob? For the turn in?
Yeah.
I'm looking right now. I believe 5, but that's for the review. I'm asking about the test.
You don't have anything in there for the test yet? Okay, let me go and put that in right quick.
Can't be 5
So
too.
what time is the exam?
Make it 5. Make it 5.
Yeah, make it 5.
Okay, let me.
I'm Professor. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Yeah, just a second. Let me take care of the midterm exam first. Okay, that should be there now. Does someone have a question?
I was asking what time was the exam due?
Yeah, trying to make sure.
Put it in at 5, I think.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
What time do class end?
I think we end at 4:10.
Okay.
Okay. What's the other debit we have in cash?
Hmm?
Didn't we have?
70,000.
50,000.
So you should have had 2 debits in cash for 70,000. What are our credits?
It's 3 10,000s.
Okay, so 3
And
10,000.
125,000.
And 115,000 too for
Yeah,
7.
15,000 comes after the 10,000.
10,000.
Do y'all think this is a good idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So we're gonna
I'm
total
lost.
up debits, and how much do we get?
135,000.
Wait a minute. Total debits is how much?
120,000.
120,000. And how much are the credits?
I didn't get that.
5 plus 7 is how much?
12.
Okay, so we add up all of these credits, how much do we get?
Hold on real quick. I'm trying to see something. So for cash on the debit side,
70.
one was 50,000, correct?
70,000 for credit.
How much for credits?
70,000.
70,000.
So the debits are 120, the credits 70. So what's the balance in this account?
50,000.
50,000.
50,000.
Debited though.
Credit. Debit or credit?
Debit.
Debit because the debit is bigger.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just talking.
This is the number that goes on the trial balance, 50,000. These two numbers don't go on the trial balance. The 50,000 goes on the trial balance. Got it?
Okay, one.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on cash?
Yeah, my numbers are different. I didn't get 10. I got 40, 10, 80, 10, 15, and 25. for my credit side.
For that 40,000, did you pull it from the supplies?
Yeah, supplies, I debited 40,000 and credited 40,000 cash.
So you're gonna have to keep all of that organized. I
Your
was kind
numbers
of
are
doing the same
just
thing too.
different.
I don't see how y'all got what y'all got because I got something totally different for cash.
Got
First of all, your journal entry is incorrect. You should have credited accounts payable in that second transaction.
oh,
For what number?
I think that's number 2. We said it was a 12. So you debited supplies and you credited accounts payable.
Right, I have that for
And it's 40,000, correct?
yeah.
okay, no, I have 50,000.
That's the one above it. So you got to be careful as you make these transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see why, I went back to the journal entry. If the journal entry is not right, then you really have a whole lot.
Let me still make sure. So 50,000. Y'all, just real quick for cash, one was 50,000, then 7 was 15,000, right?
Right. 2 debits of 120. Well, 2 debits totaling 120.
What you mean?
So I have
I'm still getting
80,000 credited
50
for cash
plus 7
too.
equals 120.
I'm trying to explain to you what I have.
Let's go back in here.
I'm saying for cash
This journal
on the
entry,
debit side.
this is the payment of the dividends. What did we debit? Dividends. What did we credit? Cash. Did you have this journal entry?
Yeah, debit 10,000 for dividends and cash credited 10,000.
Okay. Here we have another 10,000 credit to cash. Now we skipped some. Well, I'm not sure what you're doing. We skipped some of the transactions and told you to work on them.
Okay.
So you got to pull those up. But these should be the numbers. Okay. Let's just go and see if we can put the balances in.
So are you saying that the ones that you have are right? Because I have a different. Mine's one of the 10,000 should be on the other side.
On the what side? Which
On
one?
the debited side.
Which one? We better put them all in.
There should be a 10,000 after the 50,000 in between.
There's 50. Then here's a credit of 10 for dividends. Do you have this journal entry for number 3? Credit cash.
Yeah, I have credit. I'm saying, but there should be another.
Then here's another $10,000 credit to cash. And finally, paid delivery expense 10,000. So this
Wait,
is the delivery expense.
yeah, there should be a 10,000 in the middle because number 3, 10,000 right there, dividends.
Yeah. So we got 3 10,000s. We have, in terms of credit, 10, 10, and 10. Let's go to the T account. 10, 10, 10. So what are y'all saying?
Oh, no, I'm saying like shouldn't there be a 10,000 on debit because of number three? There's 10,000 on debit right there.
No.
But that one goes on dividends. That's a different
Oh, yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
It goes on, you debit dividends, not
Dividend.
cash.
Oh, okay, okay.
Again, let's go and post this one then. We debit the dividend.
I just had mine switched backwards. On the
Okay. So dividends has to be debited. Whatever it is in the journal entry, it's going to be that in the T account, and the cash is credited. So do we see that now?
Yes.
Festival.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Professor Boyd.
So are we clear now on all of
Sorry,
that?
I'm like interrupting y'all. So
Yes, Ms. Smith. You finished?
so now I have a question. The first, like on the actual sheet that we have for the midterm, what is it, at the top, the trial balance? What
Mhm.
are we waiting to the end to do the two, or are we adding that to do the trial
What's
balance
your
on the
first
actual?
instruction? What's the first instruction you have in terms of what's required?
Hold
What did it tell you to do?
Post beginning balance. Yeah, I did
Post
that.
the beginning balances.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
So am I like adding those to like what I just did, like the journal entries that I just did, or
Yeah,
maybe I'm confused.
it's like your bank account. If you had money in there on January 1st,
Oh, so we're doing it like all together, like completely all together.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was just my question. Okay. Sorry.
No problem. Does everybody see the 50,000? How much we got in account receivable? I'm not going to do the details. How much is in account receivable now?
It's 10,000 for the total on the debit side.
Okay. Just how much in supplies?
40.
40,000
40,000.
on the debit.
Land?
90,000.
90,000.
Account payable?
25,000
So I was confused about that one.
Why are you confused?
on credit.
Did you? That's what I was asking you about. Do you like subtract or do you add? So you added them together?
You add the debits, you add the credits, and you take the difference. So in accounts payable, we had a credit of how much? What's the credit?
40,000.
40,000?
Yes, sir.
And you had a debit of what when you paid it?
15,000.
15,000? Was it 15,000 we paid on accounts payable?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was debited. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the difference leaves us 25,000.
Okay.
Okay, notes payable. What's the balance in notes payable?
25,000.
No. All right. Accounts payable is 25,000.
Right.
How much is
For
in
notes
notes?
Notes
payable,
payable
I
is
got
60.
60,000 credited.
1,000. Common stock credit of what?
50,000.
Dividends a debit of what? 10,000.
10,000.
Sales
80,000 credited.
And this is what expense is this?
Interest.
Interest or no, delivery.
Delivering.
Delivery was first, right?
Yes.
How much was the delivery expense?
10,000.
10,000.
Debit.
It's gonna be a debit.
And then interest.
So interest comes down here. And what's a debit and interest?
5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your next task?
Before,
We have to balance it.
Dr. Boyd,
Yes.
please, before we move on to trial balance, this one part, please. Can y'all go back to cash and read on debit and credit how much I'm supposed to have in what journal entry? Like for example, for cash debit, I have for 50,000 because I'm still unbalanced right there.
Okay,
So one was 50,000.
I'm gonna work with her on this. Everybody else go work on the trial balance. So they just starting on the trial balance. Okay, this is transaction 1 here.
Mm-hmm. 50,000.
That was 50,000. This is 70,000 here.
Right, 70,000 was 8, correct?
Okay, I think that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Because I keep going back up to look and yes,
Okay.
cash was credited 70,000 for number 8. But before that,
It was debit.
Yeah. For number 8, cash, yeah, it was.
I'm not putting this on. Shift parenthesis 8. Now let's go and pick up the debits.
It's one more on the debit though, right? Number 7.
Okay, well let's start at go back to the top. Dividends was journal entry 3.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Then the next 10,000 was what?
4. Cash. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was 4. The other 10,000 is from journal entry 5.
That was the
That was credited cash with delivery expense.
Okay.
And the 15,000, that's what I think I messed up at. So what journal entry? I think that
Payment on
journal.
That's 7.
Okay, so maybe that's why I messed up. So cash is, okay. I have it debited. So it's supposed to be
credited.
Okay. Credited. Okay, 1 second.
Okay.
That was 15,000 credited for number 7, correct?
Correct.
So it's only supposed to be 2 on the debit side.
On the 2 accounts. On the 2 debits.
Okay. Well, that's why I was messed up at. And that was journal entry 8. Okay. For the 70,000.
So
All right. Yeah.
You just got to be more careful as you're doing it.
Yeah, I was moving too fast. 70.
Okay, so take all these red numbers now and create a trial balance in the same order.
Can you go back to where the accounts payable, which I don't know which side to put it on. Is it the debit or credit side when I add it up?
Go to cash. What side is it in here?
Can you go back down a little bit?
Where do you want me to go?
Okay, right there. Thank you.
Remember we said liabilities are gonna have a credit balance?
Mm-hmm.
Accounts receivable.
I gave you all the trial balance total before, and y'all were complaining.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Does anybody have a trial balance yet?
Yes, I did it. I filled it in.
What are the total debits?
Let me do that.
So what were the total debits and trial balance?
215,000.
215. What are the total credits?
215,000.
Oh, Mr. Nisha is ready. So is that hard to do?
Not anymore.
I didn't know.
And what do you do after that?
Well, let's get it in first. Cash is what? We just bring
Yeah,
it up.
hold on.
50,000.
50,000. Then we're gonna bring in what? The account receivable.
10,000.
Debited.
Then we have what?
Supplies. 40,000 debited.
Then what do we have?
Land. 90,000 debited.
So we're just simply pulling these straight from those accounts in that order. Next.
Accounts payable. 25,000 credited. $25,000.
Thank you.
Notes payable. 60,000 credited. Common stock. 50,000 credited.
And I'm gonna put
Dividends.
I'm gonna put the retained earnings account in.
Okay.
And right now it's got a zero balance. Then I'm gonna skip down a line and put dividends here. How much is dividends?
10,000 credited.
10,000 what?
Credited. I mean debited. Debited.
Then we have sales. And that's credited for how much? 80,000. Then we have delivery expense. 10,000. And we have interest expense, 5,000. So somebody said, where do we go from here? If we want to do it, if we want to do an income statement, we simply look at everything below that line. Okay? Sales, 80,000. So the total revenue is 80,000. Then we're going to put our expenses in delivery. I'm going to change this to interest. I'm going to come up here and copy. Therefore, our total expenses are 15,000. So what's our net income going to be? What's the net income going to be? And I get a net income from somebody. You got
Is it 65,000?
65,000?
65,000. I'm just waiting on y'all. That's the income statement. How long did it take to do that? When the trial balance is done, you just gotta copy
Can you
the
go
number.
back up, please? Yeah.
Okay. So
I have a question.
stuff up, you can just put income statement here, and you know everything below that income statement line goes on the income statement. If it's 5 accounts, if it's 100 accounts, and we're 65,000.
Okay, can you go back? Yeah.
See it? So we just look at everything below the line, do an income statement. Okay?
Let's see.
A lot of figuring here for 3 numbers. All right, statement of retained earnings. Simple statement. Beginning retained earnings balance is 0. If remember, we're on the trial balance, a new company. Yes. Then we're gonna take
You're doing a lot of strolling. I can't keep up with you.
We're gonna bring that net income down. I'll copy it. Paste it right here. We got the net income. Our subtotal is 65,000. Then we're gonna go up here to the trial balance, get the dividend. And so the ending retained earnings is gonna be what?
Subtract.
You're gonna subtract.
55,000?
Right. So what this says is that you made 65, you paid the owners 10, and you left 55 in the business. So that account stays like that all the time.
What did you necessarily have to subtract?
What?
What did you have to subtract?
65 minus 10. 65 minus 10 gave us 55. Now, we're going to prepare a balance sheet. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to put balance sheet. So everything above this line is going to go on the balance sheet, okay? So get ready to do a balance sheet with everything above the line with one caveat. We're going to use our new retained earnings, so it's no longer zero, but it's what? 55,000. So when we get ready to do the balance sheet, we got our new retained earnings. So when I get ready to do that balance sheet, I'm going to get my current asset, copy, current assets are in, my total current assets are 100,000. Okay. Then I'm gonna go back up here and get my land. I got to get everything above that line. The land in, total long-term assets are 190. So when I add up all the assets, 100 current, 90 long-term, my total assets are 190. So I got to come down here and get the same 190. Okay. So I can come up here, get my common stock. Common stock. So stock goes equity, common stock. Then I'm gonna come in here and get my new retained earnings, 55,000. So when I add these together, my equities is 105. I'm gonna let you all put the liabilities in, but when you add the liabilities and the equity together, you need 190,000. Okay.
Okay.
So you need your closing entry. So I'm going to do 2 of the closing entries for you because we got to close out every account below this red line. These are all temporary retained earnings accounts. So I'm going to close out sales for you first. So I'm going to do the first closing entry for the revenue. So I'm going to debit sales because I'm closing it now, so I got to debit it. And so I'm going to debit sales for $80,000 because I'm trying to close it. And then I'm going to credit income summary for $80,000. Because this is a journal entry, I got to post it. So I got to go back up here to these T accounts.
45,060.
Now debit the sales for $80,000. I credit the income summary for $80,000. So now, as you can see, the sales is closed out. Well, every account from income summary through interest got to look like this. Every account's got to look like this. Now I'm going to make closing entry 3 for you. And closing entry 3, since we have revenue, we're going to debit the income summary. And we're going to credit retained earnings.
Okay, Mr. Dr. Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I promise this is where you lose me. Because I know you just told us, like, do the liability and add it, with the stock and equity. I know that was easy. That shouldn't have taken us long. But, you already have moved forward. So, I just did this, huh?
I want you to do that later.
Oh, okay.
You don't do it all now. You'll pull back and do that later. Because
Okay, well, I didn't think you could finish
we
once.
have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Then I got another class. Okay, so I'm assuming you can pull that up. Now we got to close out the income summary counting. What's the amount in this journal entry going to be? It's always going to be the net income. So we're going to debit net income for income summary for $65,000 and credit retained earnings for $65,000. We got to post this too. So every time you make a journal entry, you have to post it. So in this one, we debited income summary 65,000, and we credited retained earnings for $65,000. When you finish the other 2 closing entries, you'd have a balance in this account of $55,000. So the purpose of the closing entries is to move this account from 0 to $55,000.
Mr. Boyd,
Yes.
for that closing entry, so for that number 1, where did you get that sales from? Like, how did you pull that number from the debits in the income statement, income summary? Where did you get that from? so I kind of have an idea of where to look at.
Trial balance. We're gonna go to the trial balance. We got to close out everything below balance sheet on the trial balance. We got to close out sales. Then we got to close out expenses. Then we got to close out dividends. So we're closing out everything below trial balance because these are temporary retained earnings accounts. So where do we get the numbers from? We come to the trial balance and we look at everything below balance sheet that we typed in and we close it.
Yes, sir.
So you can see today, we broke the class up. And it doesn't matter when you take the test, it's just a matter of being, having a fuller understanding. And if all 40 people are in at one time, then sometimes there's a tendency for, a certain group of people to start talking and you all don't talk. So we're going to have classes where certain students, were told to be quiet so everybody can participate. So you all did very well today. You learned a lot. You don't have it all down, but just think you were doing this from day one. When there's a question, you asked it.
Okay. Can you go down to closing journal entries? Hello? Dr. Boyd.
His other class finna start, so.
Do you know how to do it?
So when do we do the
Which
midterm?
part?
When is the midterm due?
I don't know. He didn't say.
We'll probably have to do ours on Tuesday, most likely. So
On
this
Tuesday?
weekend I would study this whole thing. Yeah,
Just study
most
the whole
likely.
thing?
Yeah, I would study this whole
Gotcha.
thing because this is exactly
Did
how
he
the
say when he
midterm
was
gonna
gonna
look.
post them?
I don't even know. I'm trying to finish this one so I can get them star points because I feel like I'm gonna need them.
Did he say
Yes,
when he was gonna post it?
Yeah.
They've been on too long, so they cut me off.
right.
What you want me to
Okay.
post? What you want me to post?
I was
No,
asking if
are
you
you posting
can.
this on your YouTube? Is what I was asking.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it.
Today.
Yeah, I have to. It has to be downloaded and posted, so I'll do that. Let me stop the recording.
Okay.